ever have. Gap her legs open to everybody. Like I said, and I'm going to keep saying, the only bruise she had was the herpes on her cat. That's the only bruise she had. Guess what? My friend and her ain't even sleep in the same room. Want me to tell you why? Because he didn't want to sleep with her because she was nasty. Because she was nasty. The only reason he was...
Look at my friend there, baby. Goddamn, come to Walmart and donate. His daughter needs some food. She leaning. Oh, Lord, he whooping the baby. Lord. Don't they look alike?
On December 23rd, 2025, in a quiet neighborhood in Level Plains, Alabama, children watched their mother pull the trigger on their father. Pastor DaQuarius Green, a 31-year-old man of God, lay bleeding in his own home. 4 days later, on December 27th, he was dead. But here's what makes this case so haunting. No one has been arrested. No charges have been filed. And the more you learn about what led to that moment, the more you'll question everything you thought you knew about right and wrong. If stories like this one grip you, if you want to understand the darkness that hides behind closed doors, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button right now, smash the like, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story from Shadow Crime. Trust me, you're going to want to stay for this one. Now, let me take you back to who DaQuarius Green was, or at least who people thought he was. This wasn't just some random guy. This was Pastor DaQuarius Green, the senior pastor of Elba Zion Missionary Baptist Church in Dale County, Alabama. And if you lived in Montgomery, you knew his name. He was big in the community, known for his ministry work, his outreach programs, helping people who needed it most. When people talked about Pastor Green, they talked about a man who preached the gospel, who stood in front of his congregation every Sunday and spoke about love, forgiveness, and righteousness. His wife, Quintaria Massey, stood beside him as the first lady of the church. To the outside world, they looked like the perfect couple. A pastor and his devoted wife, raising their children together, serving God together, building a life that others admired. But you know what they say about closed doors, right? What happens behind them is often nothing like what the world sees. Because while Pastor Green was preaching to his congregation about treating others with love and respect, something very different was happening at home. And Quintaria, the woman who smiled and supported him in public, was living a nightmare that most of us can't even imagine. Let's go back to 2024. That year, Pastor Green was charged with domestic violence. Not once, not twice, 3 separate times. 3 misdemeanor counts of third-degree domestic violence. Think about that for a second. 3 different occasions where things got bad enough that the police were called, reports were filed, and charges were brought against him. But here's where it gets complicated. All 3 of those charges, dismissed. Every single one. And why? Because the alleged victim refused to testify. Now, if you've ever watched true crime before, you know what that means. When a victim refuses to testify in a domestic violence case, it's not usually because nothing happened. It's because they're scared. It's because they've been manipulated into thinking it was their fault. It's because they still love the person hurting them, or they're financially dependent on them. Or they're worried about what happens to their kids if their partner goes to jail. The cycle of abuse is real, and it's vicious. But wait, there's more to the story. Earlier in 2025, just months before that fatal night, Quintaria filed protection from abuse petition against her husband. And what she wrote in that petition should make your blood run cold. She described a man who was insecure, intensely jealous, controlling. She accused him of physically injuring her multiple times. And get this, she said he hurt her while she was pregnant. Imagine being pregnant, carrying a child, and the father of that child puts his hands on you. That's not just abuse. That's a whole other level of cruelty. So you'd think with protection order filed, with those allegations on paper, something would change, right? Wrong. That petition was dismissed too, just like the criminal charges, just like everything else. The system failed Quintaria over and over again. Or maybe she dropped it herself, because that's what abuse victims do when they're trapped. They try to leave, they reach out for help, and then they go back because leaving feels more dangerous than staying. Now I want you to think about what that must have felt like for Quintaria. You gather the courage to file charges. You tell the police what's happening. You stand up and say this man is hurting me. And then nothing happens. The charges disappear. Your husband comes back home. And everyone in the church still sees him as Pastor Green, the man of God, while you're the only one who knows the truth about who he really is when the doors close and the cameras turn off. Friends of Pastor Green, people who knew him from the community, they've spoken out since his death. One minister, Devonna Palmer, talked about how fatherhood had changed Green, how he seemed different after having kids. And maybe that's true. Maybe there were moments where he was a good father, where he tried to be better. But that's the thing about abusers, isn't it? They're not monsters 24 hours a day. They can be charming. They can be loving. They can make you believe that this time will be different, that they're really going to change. And that's exactly what makes it so hard to leave. So now we're at December 23rd, 2025. Something happened in that house in the Freedom Heights neighborhood. We don't know exactly what. The details haven't been made public. But what we do know is that it was classified as a domestic incident. We know that Quintaria Massey shot her husband. And we know that their children were in the house. They saw it happen.
Stagnant ass energy. I'm so angry right now, y'all. I can go on and on and on and on. Let's get up to when she killed my friend. Let's fast forward, because it's so much go on. And so, y'all, my friend needs justice. He put up with mental abuse. She used to get angry if they somewhere and people show him attention and don't, just wave at her cordially. For the people that gave her attention, and everybody know my friend block game was strong. His block game was strong. So this last time, she had to reach out through him, through them milk-ass church folks. Don't never let nobody tell y'all how to run y'all business. You the one got to deal with it. They on the outside looking in. They don't know what the hell going on. But guess what? Nobody ever knew this lady was the biggest hoe you could ever have. Gap her legs open to everybody. Like I said, and I'm going to keep saying, the only bruise she had was the herpes on her cat. That's the only bruise she had. Guess what? My friend and her ain't even sleep in the same room. Want me to tell you why? Because he didn't want to sleep with her, because she was nasty. Because she was nasty. The only reason he was down was because of that little boy. Nobody knew that this lady, guess what? The first two, she treated them like son. When it came to him, she mistreated that little boy that he had by her. He told me how she shut him out, had him out there in the hallway hollering, and she laid up in the bed with the other two. But this your baby. Usually a person had a nurturing feeling for the young child. That's the only reason he kept going back, because she was mistreating the little boy. Anybody know, my friend know that he loved his kids. His baby said that she saved him. He saved her. He saved her. She watched somebody shoot her daddy and shut the door with a blank stare. Want me to tell you why? Because it was premeditated from the beginning. You stayed in the house for almost a year. You ain't never talked to your neighbors. Never said nothing to these folks. 2 months ago, I told her during my birthday time, you want to start back trying to reach out to him. You want to get the church folks. It's always the church folks for me. I get some churches mean well, but El Bazan, I'ma tell y'all ain't worth two flips. Y'all sweep everything under the rug, act like ain't nothing going on, act like don't that happen, don't want to elevate. Y'all want to stay in the stagnant energy, and don't, guess what? People know y'all got y'all old pastor picture behind y'all, but guess what? Y'all had a new one. I guarantee y'all up in that whole hallelujah, singing all them old ass hymns, like y'all just so religious and high mighty, but you're not. Yeah, Shane gonna tell you today. I'm gonna tell you what my friend should have told y'all. That he should have told y'all to stay the hell out of his business. Every time you turn around, y'all nitpicking and begging him about that no good woman. Somebody that's sleeping with everybody. Somebody that's probably sleeping with the niggas in the church. Want me to tell you why? Because she didn't care. Want me to tell you why? Because she was heartless. Want me to tell you why? Because she was broken from being her childhood. This lady been gapping her legs open since she was young. She ain't care about nobody. The first child daddy gave up his rights. Ain't want nothing to do with her. Signed the papers because he said she was crazy. Scared she gonna do something to him. The second child daddy in the military. Ain't had but 3 years to go. Was giving her $2,600. She was living all high mighty. Like she just bawling. Went buying a little boy nothing. Go on the Facebook page. Look at the shoes. The shoes them children had my friend bought. My friend bought. They can say she a good mother. Or all that. Y'all don't know how she talked to them children when y'all ain't around. But guess what Shan do? Because Shan was on the phone. Shan listen. Shan listen. When she went out that horn, my friend was at home with her boys in his. Yeah. When she didn't come home until the middle of the night, out there drunk. Out there with different niggas coming home smelling like ooh-wee. My friend was there with her boys. When them the children were pissing the bed out, because they big kids. They still piss. They still piss. You ain't even got time to teach your children how to use the bathroom. When they was at home pissing the bed out, my friend was there changing the sheets. When they said they were hungry, my friend was there cooking them shit to eat. You know, it's funny because everybody can say what they want to say. They can try to justify it the way they want. When she lied and told everybody or went to the police, I'm going to tell y'all how that went because it was such a lie. My friend never hit him. He never hit him. He never hit him. She didn't tell y'all how she gave her gay friend out. Everybody know DaQuarius loved luxury. Everybody know my friend ain't had nothing but labels and name brand clothes. You know, he took care of himself too because he loved the person that God made him to be. My friend went from walking to a job for years. Went from getting him a little car, a Jeep that broke down in the woods when he went to get his girlfriend one time, to having nothing, to getting him a little putt-putt, to driving him a Benz. Work hard for everything. Ain't nobody give him nothing. He worked for it. He was determined to be something. He was determined to make people smile. He was determined to pray over people that couldn't pray for themselves. He was determined to deliver God a word to somebody. But guess what? People will never pray or never press the share button on a sermon. But guess what? Y'all gonna press on some bullshit, though. Y'all gonna press when somebody say something negative, though. Guess what? When she said to DV, y'all heard, oh, he beat his wife. Guess what? He didn't do that. Want me to tell you why? I was on the phone. I was on the phone. Want me to tell y'all who told him to call the police? I did. Want me to tell y'all who's mad because he lost his job because he did the right thing? I was. Even though he sat there and prayed, and he was like, God gonna take care of me. It's gonna be okay. Everything gonna be all right. Guess what? I was mad. I fought it myself because my friend lost his job because I told him, don't go down there to that crazy woman. I said, call the police because she can do something to you. I told him that. I did. And guess what? When he got there, she already ran the story to him. He even left, and they told him to come back, and they put my friend in jail. He never was prosecuted for it because she lied. She lied. He never argued with people saying that he whooped on his wife. He never did none of that. He took everything everybody had, and I was the one angry. I was the one angry. I fought it myself. I was mad because I told him to call the police thinking that the justice system was going to prevail in his favor. That lady was down there burning my friend's clothes up. She gave all his Gucci bags, his Louis bags, all his name brand to her gay friend. And guess what? He still stood by her. Even after that, he left her for a minute. But the church, pray for your wife. Make your relationship work, Pastor. Pastor this, Pastor that. Fuck y'all. What was y'all when he was going through this mental abuse? Guess what? He never slandered her. He never told nobody nothing negative about her. He ain't never tell nobody about the herpes. He ain't never tell nobody how she was cheating. He ain't never tell nobody none of that. Because he loved her. He loved her. But guess what? She ain't love him. She ain't love him. And this whole situation was premeditated. I'm going to tell y'all how I know. Because Shan was there. Shan know. Shan know. And I'm so hurt because I got receipts. I could show y'all the text messages. And I was asking him not to go back at first. I said, you doing good. You finally elevating. You finally starting to live life again. This lady was like a leech, like a succulent. Every time you turn around, you just try to take a piece of him. He ain't want nothing but for her to love him, for her to do right by him. But I'm gonna tell y'all how it came up into these last past days. And I'm finna get up off here because I done said enough and I'm just upsetting myself even more and more. But that was the domestic violence victim, my friend, that this woman murdered. Yeah, she killed him. She shot him in the eye in front of his child and shut the door on him like he was a piece of paper. And I'm going to tell you, as long as I knew my friend, he never, every time he was with, like I told y'all, he always was with the kids. Sunday, we talked every day for hours, like for real, hours. And you got 24 hours in a day. We gonna talk about 6 to 12 of them things. And everybody named mama know it. We be laughing and everything. Like, I'm still in disbelief because it don't seem right. It's not fair. I thought I would have left before my friend, because my friend lived a righteous life. He was a real man of God. You know, and everybody know, get what? He get tired, you gonna block it. He ain't even deal block. That's what he gonna do, he gonna block it. He ain't even deal with you. But let's get to it. So, Sunday, I talked to my friend. The house was quiet. And I said, where the boys at? He said, oh, she took him down to her grandma's house. And I said, oh, be safe. I hope she ain't down there trying to kill you. Me and him laughed it off and joked. Nobody know that the lady down there doing little spells or whatever her little witchery is she do. Got eggs and shit hanging all over the house. Y'all Google the eggs over the wild. And he took one of them eggs down one day. I gotta reflect back. He took one of them eggs down. And that lady had a fit. She had a fit. Do you hear me? Talking about keep the baby quiet and all type of stuff. She from a town called Adamville, y'all. It was a real true story on Lifetime about the witch from the city. And they got the witch standing up in the middle of the town hall and all type of stuff. So people like that, you can't trust anyway. And, okay, so that's what I said Sunday. That was the first time we talked. Second time we talked, she went off about him going to get his daughter. I ain't gonna say her name because she a child. But she went off about him going to get his daughter. And he was like, can you believe she mad because I'm going to get my daughter? Now, I remind y'all, she been in the house for a year. She ain't started talking to the neighbors 2 months ago. 2 months ago, you start getting the people at the church, them low-down-ass people. Yeah, I said it. Y'all some low-down-ass people at that church. I know y'all secrets. And y'all keep playing, I'm going to air y'all ass out, too. So she had the people at the church talking about, work it out with your wife, or this and that. I feel them getting soft. I try to tell him not to go back because he been doing good. He finally elevated, started seeing the light, started, feeling good about himself again, started getting his momentum and morale back, working for the funeral home, working at the church, doing his other little side hustles and his jewels and everything, feeling good about himself. I'm going to tell you, when the devil see you elevate, guess what? Everybody can't go where you're going. When you walking up some steps, you're going to leave some steps behind. And guess what? When you continue to carry that weight, and I'm going to tell y'all what he did. He poured into her cup. He did. He was filling her cup up and emptying out his. And she sat there and watched his social media, prayed on him. Every time you turn around, she looking. She see him doing good, see him going back out to eat, see him going on his trips. And she's like a succulent. Guess what? She ain't like that. Let me tell you why. Because she was moved back home with them children. Them children she didn't want to put up with. The only reason she wanted to take his job because she thought he wasn't going to be able to stand on his own 2 toes. Because she wanted every piece of him to herself. She didn't want him to talk to nobody. Want him to talk to no females. Where she from, she was a little popular. But everybody know DaQuarius was popular. So when he went down there, he took her a little light. She ain't like that. So now she feeling some type of way. Every time you turn around, you find a reason to try to argue with him about something. She found a reason to try to argue with him about something. So let's go back into when she was mad about his baby. She was mad because he went and got his daughter. He said, well, it's Christmas time. I can't spend time with my child. Like, he loved his kids. So she was already mad about that. You know, she already tried to start a little argument about that. Come around to Monday. The heifer go to work. She take the little boy tablet out the house. His son. She took his tablet. So, you took his tablet, but you knew the baby was at home. Why? Want me to tell y'all why? Because she wanted him to come to her job. He said, well, she told me to come to the job and pick it up. I said, nah, don't go to her job. That crazy hell. Why would she take his tablet and he at home? Why? You ain't take him to work? Why would you go get his tablet and take it to your job? Like, make it make sense. Want me to tell you why? Because she was premeditating the whole thing. And she wanted them to say he was already at her job starting shit. She did. So she took his tablet to the job. And I told him, I'm the one. Sharon the one told him not to go. I said, he'll be all right until she get off. Don't go to that job. He'll be all right until she get off. Yeah, I said that. And guess what? He listened, so he didn't. So.
Close your eyes for a second and imagine being one of those kids. Imagine the confusion, the terror, the sound of that gunshot echoing through your home. These children didn't just lose their father that night. They witnessed something that will be carved into their memory for the rest of their lives. Whatever healing looks like for them, it's going to take years, maybe decades. And that breaks my heart more than anything else in this story. Pastor Green didn't die immediately. He held on for 4 days, from December 23rd until December 27th. 4 days in the hospital fighting for his life. 4 days where Quintaria had to sit with what happened, knowing her children saw it, knowing her husband might not make it. Can you even imagine what was going through her mind during those 4 days? When he finally died on December 27th, the church released a statement calling him a dedicated spiritual leader and asking for prayers for his family and congregation. The community held prayer vigils. People mourned him, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have. Death is tragic, especially when someone dies young, especially when children lose their father. But I also think about Quintaria during those vigils. Did anyone pray for her? Did anyone ask what she had been through? Here's what makes this case so different from most true crime stories you hear. Quintaria Massey has not been arrested. She has not been charged with anything. The Dale County Sheriff's Office is still investigating, but the fact that no charges have been filed tells us something important. When someone shoots another person and they're not immediately arrested, it usually means law enforcement believes there might be justification for what happened. In cases involving possible self-defense, especially in domestic violence situations, the investigation gets handed over to the district attorney, who then decides whether to present it to a grand jury. Alabama, like most states, recognizes a right to self-defense. If you genuinely believe your life is in danger, if you're facing imminent harm, you have the legal right to protect yourself. And given the documented history of abuse allegations, the dismissed charges, the protection order, it seems like investigators are seriously considering that Quintaria was acting in self-defense that night. But that raises so many complicated questions, doesn't it? Because even if it was self-defense, even if she had every legal right to pull that trigger, she still has to live with having killed her husband and the father of her children. She has to look at her kids every day knowing what they witnessed. She has to process the trauma of whatever happened in those final moments that made her feel like she had no other choice. So let me ask you this, and I really want you to think about it. When does a victim become a perpetrator? If someone has been abused for years, if they've tried to get help through the legal system and been failed repeatedly, if they reach a point where they genuinely fear for their life, are they a murderer or are they a survivor? Where do we draw that line? And here's another question. How many dismissed charges does it take before we start believing the victim? How many times does someone have to call for help before we actually help them instead of sending them back into danger? This case isn't closed yet. We don't know if Quintaria will ever face charges. We don't know what really happened in that house on December 23rd. But what we do know is that this is a tragedy that maybe, just maybe, could have been prevented if someone had listened earlier. If this story made you think, if it challenged you, if it reminded you that true crime isn't just about entertainment, but about real people in real pain, then do me a favor. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Do you think this was self-defense? Do you think the system failed both of them? I want to hear from you. And if you haven't already, Subscribe to Shadow Crime. Hit that like button and turn on notifications because we're going to keep bringing you stories that matter, stories that make you question everything. I'll see you in the next one.